We are
Okay.
recording now. Hari Ram, I have been so excited all day about this. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you? That
Very good.
smile.
This is great. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this conversation too, because I know you first introduced the ideas
Ages
a
ago.
month ago, I think a month ago or something, and I was intrigued, of course, having heard some of your interviews to do this. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, you know, I remember you very specifically, Hari Ram, because when I was on this lonesome journey, you know, and with that song in the background, lonely, I'm Mr. Lonely, and there this man, this person that came out really loudly and like supporting everything that I was saying, that was you. And I remember the first few posts I made about Trump. There was all these, like, you know, the reciprocity from you was not only cool because I needed that, so thank you, because there was literally like a few people that, you know, you've been through the same sort of journey with the backlash of supporting lovely Donald. But I just remember you, and it just made me laugh. And you know, you never can underestimate. You can never underestimate the impact that you're having on someone. And I would look forward to your post. I would literally laugh out loud. There have been moments, right, where I've been sat just like, I don't really get a chance to look at people's stories. I just like, you know, see whatever I can. And there's so much information out there. How can you keep in touch with it all? But when I would look at your stories, I literally have spat my coffee out. Make me laugh so much. So the motivation to speak to you, first of all, is because I just love your spirit, both just in every way. I've been sort of following you guys, and your energy is beautiful. And you're obviously a part of this movement. I saw you with Sasha of how to pass a camel through the eye of a needle. That was really good. Oh, one second. See, Kenzo wanted to get involved there. Can you hear that? Sorry, everyone. Yeah, so as I was saying, I, you know, have been watching some of your stuff, and you done a chat with Sasha Stone, and just the generic theme is this lovely, light, vibrant energy you both have, and I thank you for it. I just thank you for it. So that has been one of the main reasons I wanted to speak to you, because we're all on the same journey. And yeah, so if you could just tell my viewers a little bit about yourself and the School of NAD.
Yeah, we'd love to tell you something about that. And first of all, since you mentioned Sasha, I'll start with addressing that, because yeah, I think he helped to bring people like you and I together. I probably started following him around the same time, I imagine. And I did hear your interview, most of it just before this call. It was great to hear you both speaking. One of the things I love about Sasha Stone is his irreverent sense of humor. Coming back to your initial point.
I love that.
Yeah, I've been on a spiritual path for many years, so I could go on and give you a lot of background. So it's hard even to try to encapsulate. But
Sure.
one thing I look for, you know, and this is what I say to people: anyone who's looking for a spiritual mentor, a guru, if you will, my advice is simple. If you do not witness and see very clearly a wild, eccentric sense of humor in that person, he or she, that master, within 1 minute, and I'm being generous, my advice is to turn around and run as fast as you can. And this is, you know, we could go into defining what that means, because I think it doesn't necessarily mean that that person doesn't have a wild, eccentric sense of humor, but perhaps the resonance isn't there. You know, that you are not really on the same vibrational resonance. And in that case, I say again, run. You know, there's lots of, well, maybe not many, but there are other spiritual teachers out there. You know, this is my experience for sure.
Sure.
One of my first the teachers that comes to my mind is my shiatsu master. I studied shiatsu in Toronto between 91, 93. And the first meeting, and it's interesting because I went to the massage school actually they had an open house for the massage program, which I was looking into. My friend had recommended that I look into this. And as fate would have it, they set it up so the shiatsu director came out into the lobby where we were all waiting for the, the discussion and tour of the school kind of thing. And he spoke first before the massage director, okay? And the school is named after him, so it was appropriate that he had that honor. And as soon as I saw him walk into the room, I was like, oh my God, who is this person, right? He was from Japan, and his English wasn't perfect, but there was something about him, his aura, and this humor. I felt his humor right away. I was sort of a big smile across my face. And sure enough, he came through. He made me laugh, I think, within
minutes,
30 seconds probably. But, and the thing is, not everybody else there got his sense of humor.
Yeah.
Right? He's a master. And I got it. And I think almost immediately say, I'm going to sign up for that course. Forget about massage programs. So.
You see, you can pick up that energy. It's a bit like, the hatred people in the world have had for Trump, and no one can actually see that he is the funniest.
Oh my God.
So funny. And I see that because my father's like that. There's just that inappropriate, or what may seem to be inappropriate humor. It's quite sharp and short, and what would appear to be rude, but it's actually a very black and white sense of speaking, and he says it with this cheeky little smirk and smile. So when you meet people like that, it's this energy that they exude. And what you've picked up with this Japanese guy, you can, it's unspoken words, but it's this sort of facial expression, along with the energy that they have, that you can actually embrace straight away. So I get you. I hear you on that 100%. And that's how I felt about you. Like, seriously, it's an energy that comes through your posts, right? And an energy that we all carry. That's just so individual to ourselves. Yeah.
That's a miracle, isn't it? Because, I like to make fun of, text messaging. That's why one of the reasons I love emojis and memes. Yeah, and GIF, and even Jiffies now, I'm using those now, is because text messaging itself is inherently flawed. I've been saying this for years now because 100%. I had to learn the hard way. I got into so many silly, unnecessary arguments, online with friends, strangers too, right? Because there's pixels on a white screen. It's virtually impossible to read a text message.
Yeah, I was so much in agreement with that.
As a person intent. That's why I love to use emojis, images, voice too. I hear there's a new app that allows us to communicate with our voice more. It's one of the things that frustrates me about most of the social media, right? Except for you're using Messenger or WhatsApp, something like that. I can use my voice to communicate rather than.
Well, that says a lot of what's happened in the last 10 years more acutely, isn't it, Hariram? Because social media, through the advent of social media, we've had smartphones, social media. Smartphones haven't made us very smart. They've actually lessened the scope to communicate effectively. And this reliance on, unfortunately, on our phone, and the misinterpretation of one's emotions, tonality. And I'm very much a feelings person, so I need to see people's face. I read people's emotions. I read their energy. Sometimes, you can write something on text, and it can appear to be abrupt. I used to be very one-wordy before, because I just can't have a whole dialogue over text. It's just too laborious. There's so many things that I even want to write on Facebook, and all the people that message me and stuff, but one, it's too much. It's better to feel a person when they're speaking like this. You can really sense the energy there. Yes. And we're all energy, right? We're all about energy. So yeah, the texting, communicating over that way. But fortunately or unfortunately, that's become habit now, or over WhatsApp, and people literally writing to each other. And that one is, whereas you could have explained something far quicker face to face, or speaking over the phone at least,
Yes. And just getting back to your point about, you know, Donald Trump, let's get him out of the way. He might come back again.
No, let's stick to Donald Trump. We love him.
Oh, I could talk about Donald Trump for the whole conversation, because like you said, he makes me laugh. In fact, he's, again, so I see him in a way as a master, and he's the first that I can, in my whole entire life, the first politician, if you can call him such, that makes me laugh. I can't think of one politician, really, very few exceptions, that have had that ability to make me laugh out loud. You know, like just the way he has these pet names for all the players, like, you know, Pocahontas, Crazy Nancy, right? There's an instant, and how people miss that. In fact, I missed it for a while. I
miss him now. I said I'm missing him. I miss Trump at the moment.
Oh yes, that was the other thing I was gonna. I'm suffering from withdrawals.
Yeah.
Literally.
Trump withdrawals.
It was funny, right? Because up until the election, and you know, even after, but up until the election, his presence in my life was amping up, like all these. I couldn't keep up with all his speeches, and I wanted to listen to every one, right? Because it's just so entertaining, and his message is so important as well, right? And I don't want to miss anything, and then all of a sudden, boom! You know.
What's your favorite Trump? What was one of your favorite Trump moments?
Favorite Trump moments? Oh, that's a good question.
Well, let me help you out with one. I've just one sprung to mind, which I just always laugh out loud in my head when I think about it, was when he was with the Vatican. I don't know if you saw that, and he's caught, or someone's done a meme where he's tickling the Pope's hand, and he's got that, and he's got that. I shared that. And then when he's walking in front of the Queen in Buckingham Palace, and he's just walking around like as if he doesn't like care, and she's just behind him.
Right. Of course, I wasn't following him back then. I wasn't following politics that closely, because I was for a long time on the left, and which meant more nihilistic. I saw the whole political game as just this construct, and it was, you know, a chessboard that's being manipulated on both sides.
Of course. Yeah.
So, you know, so Trump opened up a whole new world, really, for me. It's interesting we speak about memes, because if I was looking at any memes before my awakening, really being able to see him for who he is again, the memes that I would view and even share were, you know, on the other side. Looking back, they weren't funny, right? They were, right? They're lacking imagination and soul. And so that's one of the things I was so joyous. I felt like coming home, coming to the Trump side, if you will. I started to see all these hilarious memes and you know, going, wow, this is what I've been missing, right? The imagination and and that's why, as you said, if you've been witness to, I haven't stopped sharing.
No, but it has provided us all a bit of humor and banter, as us Brits say, in these kind of not so easiest times, because we're living in, I think, amazing times. I mean, I'm so grateful, wouldn't you agree, to be privy to seeing the other narrative. Some people call it awaken, whatever label we want to give it. You know, I'm not so big on labels, but we're on this other side where we're actually seeing this movement for what we think it is. And you know, the atrocities that have happened on the planet, the sort of piecing together, connecting all the dots, and then moving forward in this sense of, you know, emotional resilience and inner tenacity, and a sense of like humor that takes us through it. Because if we're all too serious, that's not going to help, and that's not going to help the energies at this time, especially if you live here in the UK. You have to have a sense of humor, otherwise you're just all screwed.
Oh my God, I can't imagine right now. If you want to share about that, you remind me of, you know, as a teacher, you mentioned the School of Nod.
Yes.
I've been, besides doing the shiatsu training, I studied Kundalini Yoga teacher training many years ago, and I've been teaching in various capacities for a few decades now. One of the things I love to come back to is the Toltec agreements, as brought to us, by Don Miguel Ruiz, his first book, the 4 Agreements. I distilled them into 2. I like to simplify things even more. And so the way I described the 2 Toltec agreements, according to Hariram, is 1, be impeccable with every word, thought, and action.
Yeah.
To live in total alignment. I know you're into this because of what you've been following, and then the corollary, of course, is the second. All we need is really, it's like the yin and yang. The second one being, of course, do not take anything personally. This is where I've embellished. Do not take anything personally, literally, nor seriously.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Emphasis on the seriously. Right? Because especially now, right? If we take this stuff seriously, it's a one-way trip to hell, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All the shit that's going on right now on the planet,
100%. And I like that, what you said there, because we need to employ this kind of energy. We only have ourselves that are the masters of our own life and what we feel. There's not another person like us, is there? Like, not another person like you on the planet. There's not another person like me on the planet. Last time I checked, anyway. You never know with all this AI. They might have, got another one of me somehow, but I haven't let them go anywhere near me with a PCR test.
Well, that's an interesting point too, because I don't know about you, but every once in a while somebody says, I met your twin. I know you have, and I always well, show me some evidence, right? I think, well, rarely do I even meet this person or see a picture, right? You have to meet this person, right? And so I'm also reminded of the famous Polish director. He made this film back in the 80s called The Double Life of Ronnie.
Right.
It's in French. Based on this idea that we have a twin, a perfect twin, identical twin out there somewhere. Whether it's true or not, it's an interesting story. And then, of course, the doppelganger. You maybe think of the doppelganger because if we have this belief that there are many dimensions or parallel universes, it's a very fascinating.
100%. You mentioned twins. Yeah, I mean, we talk. There's a lot that's circulated on social media, on the internet, about the concept of twin flames. And I think you mentioned that in some of your posts, both you and Kirtan. She's just so Kirtan Kaur. Is that Hari Kirtan Kaur? Is that
That's Kirtan. I'm Hariram.
Yeah, you're Sat Kirtan Kaur.
Hariram Singh, full spiritual, and her name is Sat Kirtan Kaur.
Yeah, Sat meaning truth. I love that. You both are so cute together, and just the energy that you have is amazing. And I thought she was going to come on today as well.
Well, we could. I'm sure we could. She is around. We could maybe convince her to.
Yeah, no, she's definitely welcome. But the concept of twin flames, and your twin. Could your twin be the opposite of you in terms of the masculine or the feminine part of you? What are your views really on how that sits with a soul coming into this planet as half? If that question makes sense. So the whole concept of twin flames is that, we need our other soul counterpart to complete us, right? Is that true? Do you resonate with that theory or that concept?
Po.
I got you.
One of my favorite words is po. Actually, it's and I forget the Italian American linguist who came up with this word because Osho, the master Osho, by the way, one of the greatest sense of humors of all time.
Loved him. Yeah, great.
Osho introduced me to this word po, which means yes and no. It's a very good word, right? Helping us to navigate through this world of duality. It's based on this theory, if you will, that there is no absolute yes nor absolute no in this world of Maya. Yeah, so
Yeah.
That's so I have to say Po, because I feel that, you know, twin flames, and before I even say anything more, I think I want to say that labels, I don't like getting into labels too much, because people can easily get hung up and, you know, compartmentalize, oh, twin flame is this, soulmate is that, and then, you know, right? There's this group consensus that twin flame is such and such. So
yeah,
I hesitate even to refer to Sat Kirtan as my twin flame for this reason. So often I just use soulmate, because, but yeah, I think definitely there is a completion in a sense, and yet if two people are not whole in themselves, then they're going to be asking for trouble, whether it's their soulmate or whomever, right? Because, you know, that usually leads to codependency.
Brilliant. I love that. Yeah.
And in our teaching, because we do work with singles and couples, where we're calling in more couples. In fact, tomorrow we have a tantra play shop here. For anyone who happens to be in the Guatemala region, tomorrow evening we'll be serving cacao, the best cacao in the world, of course. It's here in Guatemala, and we do this once a month called Tantra Play Shop for couples. Although singles can also attend. We do a lot of. It's super fun, and
you should do stuff on Zoom.
Yeah, well, this is it. We're bringing the couples work now into our online offerings, because up until recently we've been working primarily with singles,
right,
in terms of helping people to call in to attract their ideal soulmate.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of looking, right, because a lot of, you know, these dating apps or whatever is all about going out, externalizing and looking. Where is she? Where is he? Right? Instead of coming into yourself, becoming whole, more whole, and thus attracting that ideal soulmate. So that, in a way, that's a better term for me to say ideal soulmate, because I feel that we have many soulmates certainly in a lifetime.
Yeah, 100%.
And types of soulmates, right? Yeah. And coming from the, you know, Kundalini Yoga tradition, I like to remind myself that, you know, Ek Onkar, Sat Nam, we're one creator, one creation. We're all one. You know, Om Mani Padme Hum, Hami Hum Brahm Hum. We are God. God Beautiful. Is manifest through all of us. So, in a sense, you know, in greater sense, there is no separation.
Beautiful. I love that. I absolutely love that, because very similarly, I am of that view. I have kind of touched on these subjects, you know, the twin flames, soulmates. I've pondered on these concepts, these theories, or these evaluations and conclusions. And like yourself, you know, I draw upon being complete and whole as a person, and it's that Shiv Shakti energy where you're two complete people and merging together in divine unity. And if you are operating from low vibrational, like fears, anxieties, etc., and looking towards someone to complete you, that is certainly the codependency energy. So this is what's going on around at the moment, this outwardly dependency on the twin flame subject, which is why I brought it up. And when I first came across it, you know, I started reading a lot about it just because it had the association with the 1111 number. So I started seeing that so much myself. And then I was inquisitive and started, you know, inquiring, and the whole stuff with numerology started coming to the forefront of everything that I was doing, these synchronicities. And I just have concluded, like yourself, that being complete and whole within self, in that sense of duality and embracing the dark and the light within you, then we come to this centralized synthesis of actualized being. And therefore we are in a place of non-judgment and in this exuberant state of this, you know, sense of humor. Come on, these times are a little bit trying at the moment, but you can see that in everything that you're doing, not to be disrespectful by any means, but just having that sense of joy, because now is all we have, right? Now is all we have. And it took me a long time to get here, but I really am with you on that one. So thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you. Well, it's nice, you know, when we can tie in these different elements, because for me, humor is all about the heart. True humor comes from here. I mean, the belly is also obviously involved, but so to find true humor, then I think one has to come to that place of self-awareness, self-love.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, again, we're looking outside of ourselves to be, you know, humored. And again, codependency, right? You better make me laugh, right? Or else, right?
You're fired.
No, because I feel
sign up for you making me cry.
yeah. The two people who are whole have discovered the true humor for me, which is in the heart, from the heart. And thus then just their coming together is humorous. The laughter comes spontaneous.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're laughing all the time out loud. You know, the smile is there, the joy, and life then is a celebration. You know, codependency is none of that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's shared misery.
Yeah,
right? So,
absolutely. And through the practice of your Kundalini yoga, I think there is a lot to say about that. I was actually speaking to a friend today. I think you may know her as well, Madonna. She's another yogi,
yes.
and absolutely my humor queen. She's so funny. And, you know, Kundalini yoga has been a big part of my last 10 months. And I'd never practiced it before. Has that helped me on this journey? Absolutely. In, you know, awakening the Shakti energy within me, for sure. Could feel it. Something happened that was just very, very divinely connected. So unexplainable and only felt within. So I guess that's also another connection that I had subconsciously with both of you. And I just think that natural, you can't fake this. You can't fake that kind of, like you said, you can't just be on tap, like make me laugh, otherwise I want a refund. You know, I'm not getting into this relationship. If you're not going to make me laugh, get out of my face. When I tell you to make me laugh, you know, it's not like that. Of course, you know, you can be a wailing, blubbering mess the other, you know, 1 minute, but it's about being present with our emotions, you know, and that's with any relationship, be it on a fraternal, paternal, friendship, soul, lovers, and seeing that, you know, that beautiful.
Well, yeah, to be real, to be authentic is everything. And yeah, this is one way that, you know, we would, I think Kirtan and I both define that true ideal partnership is that you can feel completely alone, at one with yourself. Aloneness is all oneness, whether you're alone or you're with your sacred partner. There's no need to change, to adjust yourself. That's one of the obvious signs of the codependency too, again, right? That we have to alter ourselves in some way. This is uncomfortable. And we all know that. This is why I spent a good part of the majority of my adult life solo, because the relationships never really worked for me long term. Sometimes for a short period, you know, that honeymoon period, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But it's rare. That's why I say it's ideal soulmate is someone, good definition, with whom you feel completely at one with yourself, that you still feel as if you're alone. You can be alone with yourself, with that other person. They're not going to change how you, in that sense anyway, you know. But of course we do change. There's also that inspiration, the exalting, all of those beautiful things that a sacred partner brings. I just posted something last night on this theme about the language shared between soulmates. It is like a secret language, and this is my nature too. I have a Venus in Capricorn. That might explain part of it. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I have this, you know, if you probably noticed this, exuberant.
What's the sun sign?
Extrovert kind of. Sorry.
What's your sun?
Pisces. Lots of Pisces in my original chart. Yeah, so lots of what. with the Mars and Leo, so that helped to bring me out. And but the other things happen later on. So because a lot of people see the Leo, the fire, because I had a rebirth. In fact, I had 2 rebirths on the same date.
Wow.
On a Leo new moon, and I didn't plan it, of course. July 31st, 14 years apart. The first one was more significant in a sense, usually is. But astrologers, interestingly, after that first rebirth and even later, they wouldn't often feel and see that the Pisces, because my original chart is water, right? Just emotion, right? Intuition, and,
It plays a part. It's very significant in the trajectory of your script.
One can drown though with a chart like I had, let me tell you. So it was good that I had a rebirth, and these astrologers would see that. They felt that fire energy, right? After the rebirth experience I had in 2000. I changed my name, and this is after I got my spiritual name. That was 7 years previous. But I changed my legal name in 2000, coinciding with this rebirth experience that I had.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm going off the thread a little bit.
No, that's fine. I find this stuff fascinating. So
well, I wanted to flag. I brought a pen because sometimes I get so many things when you're speaking. Because I wanted to of course address Madonna English. What a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
I know she played a part in us coming together. In fact, it may have been through her that I connected with you.
Possibly, yeah.
And she was, we haven't been so much in touch recently. I kind of miss that. I know she's so busy with her network and people like you. Because there was a time when she and I were conversing almost nightly. And that was the time leading up to our awakening, if you will, to Trump and the Q story.
Yeah.
So she was always, very special memory. That because we literally came out around the same time. I think Kirtan and I came out a little bit sooner, but then she came out, I was like, boom, she really went,
Yeah. Well, you see, everyone's had their own kind of timelines with this, and we're all coming together, and for whether it's a moment in time or a certain phase, where we're sort of communicating, because we've all come in solo, and we've all experienced the backlash, the vilification person. And if you look at the trajectory that we've gone on, it kind of parallels to that of Trump, right? Look at, he's come out there in a position of leadership. Yeah. If we kind of symbolize it like that, and connect it, come out in a position of leadership. And in the beginning, everyone hated him. Now, I think hate for me would have been a strong word. I was just asleep. I just didn't really care. Everyone's like, oh, there's this orange man. And I wasn't indifferent. I was like, oh, I don't really know. I don't have an opinion because I'm not clued up on the geopolitical side of things. So I don't have an opinion. And sometimes I feel that that's better rather than to hurl negative energy at people, because and again, even if, like the whole world at one point probably was just seeing him through the lenses of the media. So I guess my negative thing about him was, he's a little bit abrupt, but it just reminded me of my dad. My dad is like that. So I could identify with it. And I had this subconscious love. I love that level of humor. That's why I find Sasha's sense of humor hilarious. That's why Madonna and I get on really well. That's probably why you and Madonna got on well. So going back to that, these connections that we've all had have been for a very specific reason. And there is no mistake in these synchronicities, is there? All these, that nothing's a coincidence. It's been divinely orchestrated, Hari Ram, for sure.
It was a tumultuous process. Around that same time, Kirtan and I discovered the Walkaway campaign, which has unfortunately been taken down, like Madonna and so many other brave souls, taken off of Facebook and I think maybe YouTube. Brilliant! What a community that this man created. I always forget his name, but the Walkaway campaign. It grew to 500,000 people.
Wow!
Just on, the Facebook group. And yeah, with Trump, it's interesting, right? Because I do have memories. Actually, I was born the same year as Charlie Freak. I know you're also friends with Charlie. We were both born in Canada in the same year, so I can relate to Charlie in many ways, as I do with Sasha. And so I remember, like in the 80s, still when David Letterman, the original Letterman show, the late night show, it was funny, and it was a pioneering show. They were brilliant. He had some amazing writers, and it was really outside the box. This is before he sold out and went, you know, to CBS. And Donald Trump was a regular guest on that show, along with many other really interesting characters. And I have a memory, right, of seeing Trump and enjoying, right? He was always, you know, willing to laugh himself, to allow Letterman to deprecate, you know, he took it well. He was always very genuine and gracious and funny too, right? Because, you know, Letterman was funny back then too. So I had these memories of, you know, Trump kind of coming into my awareness at different times growing up, even, you know, in my 20s, 30s. And yet still somehow that gap happened, because I never watched The Apprentice, right? But somehow this split happened whereby when he all of a sudden came on the presidency, and I wasn't following his campaign leading up to that. I wish I had.
Yeah.
Really, talk about funny moments when he was debating Jeb Bush. Oh my God. It doesn't get any funnier than that. There's one moment in one debate where he had Jeb Bush on one side and some other stupid, dumbass Republican on the other. And he literally did this during the debate. He went, bang, bang. He shot them both in just one, knocked them both out of the race, right? But, you know,
it's his one-liners. It's his sharp, short, witty one-liners, but also under the underpinnings of his humor is intelligence. Yeah,
brilliant.
So
well, they say his IQ, and I believe this. His IQ, only one president. I would like to learn more about him. I can't remember. Only one president apparently of the 45. Because let's not say 46, please. If you want to start laughing, we can talk about Biden, but maybe
whoever that robot is, bless him.
That sock puppet is only one president out of 45 had a higher IQ than Trump. I believe that completely. In fact, he must have been a very brilliant person, because Trump is a genius in my mind.
He's an absolute genius, and how everything has been designed as well. They've actually put in the comedy value for this. I mean, that somewhere in this narrative that it was designed so that they knew that, look, let's keep it playful, you know, at some of the times, because let's be honest, at the moment on the battlefield, it's just the disparity between humanity at the moment is just like that. You know, the divide is so big, and unfortunately for the interim period, it has to be, right? And we have to continue in our evolving on our journey, just to and being congruent with our journey, and not really kind of getting so affected by outside noise. And this is what's kind of happening in these communities, the truther communities as well, which is why I found you really, really appealing to just speak to as a friend, really, you know. And that's like what with my channel, or however I started this, there wasn't anything, you know, premeditated or thought about. And in fact, I've lost my career over this. And telling the truth.
Well,
right? But
go ahead.
You know, just saying that, but this is all the divine plan, and it just feels right. So something within this energy just feels right, and I just know internally that I'm going in the right path, even irrespective of the outside noise. So it's how we navigate our way through this when we're being attacked, vilified, judged, and even with people who are claim to be on the same side. So my question to you is really that this is, in my view, just, you know, because people gun people down for their opinions now. It's just a view that this is a war on consciousness. Yeah, it's a psychological war, an information war. And even though there is this big disparity in humanity right now, we are ushering into, better times, but it's just people put too much of an impetus on timelines. So what has your experience been in, for both of you, since you've been awake in these last, say, 12 months, or if it's 10 months or 12 months?
Yes, thank you. I was going to address that theme because I made some mention to the tumultuousness, the tumult of that coming out, of leaving, the walk away. It was such a perfect name for me, the walk away campaign, because that's literally what I walked away from the left finally, and from that nihilistic school again, that it's all, the whole thing is a game. There's nothing we can do about it. That's why I call it the School of Nihilism. Those people who are not pro-Biden, but they're not pro-Trump either, right? I have no time for that nonsense now. Say, oh, you're a nihilist. Okay, thank you. But I had to go through major shit in the last year. It's at Kirtan. And unlike, I saw it coming in retrospect, because I was doing some purging of my social media. I use Facebook primarily. I don't know how people have time to do all the Instagram and Twitter.
Trust me, it's a full-time job. And, now that it is my full-time job, effectively, not for long, because I have other plans at the other side of this, but it is consuming for sure.
So yeah, I literally was in this process before coming out, my support for Trump, purging people from my network, which is good because the trolls still showed up. There was still some hidden, that I didn't get to, and then even strangers coming onto my page, and some horrible language. And the interesting thing, Alpas, is that I was on the other side before, so I had some, some empathy for these people, because I was making fun of Trump supporters previous.
Yeah.
I don't think I got as I know I wasn't as nasty as
That's the difference.
I don't know about you, but the language is unreal. Because what I said to people is, I'm not against, difference of opinions. In fact, this is good. This is healthy. This is what democracy is supposed to be about. If you cannot communicate in a respectful, with some modicum of respect and harmony, then you're gone. Like, I'm going to unfriend you first. If you continue with that nonsense, I'm going to block you. And my blocking lists have got quite...
Yes, I hear you. I definitely hear you. That has been something that I dealt with from day one. And sadly, and I'll probably get shot for saying this, but it is what it is. And I'm being black and white about it and saying it, assertively. It's through observation of people's behavior that I have drawn to this conclusion. So within the Asian community, there was a lot of annihilation about what I was talking about, just specifically to me. I'm not saying that generalizing here, but upon speaking to other awakened Indians and Asians, or whatever label you want to put it, or people from my community, it was like, what the hell is Alpa doing? And the worst abuse I got was literally, and if I was to put it just in my own world, just for me, because everyone gets so sensitive, right? It's just so sensitive. And you just said the one word out of place, and it's just this hypocrisy that we have, which I just find a load of bullshit, to be fair. Yeah. And excuse the profanity there, but I had a lot of abuse, and I'm with you there, because it was so conceited, full of contempt and hatred. And what we as observers, I feel, can do, and this is not me telling anyone what to do, what we can do is step outside of that, from that non-judgment place, because these are constructs that have governed the world for hundreds of years. So this energy has permeated into the psychological makeup of humanity to bring about this mental war and psychological traumas that people don't even realize that they have, to react and respond from a place of contempt, anger, and criticism. So I'll give you an example in response to what you're saying about, how obnoxious this is. Some of the truthers, or whatever labeled, researchers, truthers, an alternative narrativers, whichever, like yourself, I'm not great with the labels, Hari Ram. But right now, I'm sure you must be seeing on the Facebook arena is people vilifying fellow truthers, yeah? Because things don't happen within a timeline, and things don't happen according to what this person may say. So immediately they get completely vilified. He's a fraud. He's a scam. He's selling things on his page, and he's this, he's that. We're forgetting that we are fighting a global psychological spiritual war. It's not conventional, right? We're not in a conventional war where we've got like machete guns at our throat every 5 minutes, or on a battlefield. Well, we are on a battlefield.
Thank God for that, right? Otherwise, there would be a lot of blood spilled already.
And it's a war, and there's going to be casualties, right? And that's what the scamdemic presents. This the war. That's people are innocent people are dying with this bioweapon that's been exposed to humanity, but it's intention and the perspective where people are not seeing this. So
getting back to your question, because I wanted to address that more. The war on consciousness, I think, is perfect description from my perspective as well, because my orientation is about the soul primarily. So it's spirit. And I think unless someone's coming from that place, again, from the heart, from the soul, it's easy to get dragged down, whether you're on the Trump side or against Trump, unless we can rise above it, transcend that duality, cultivate neutral mind awareness. So the yoga practice for me is so essential, right? Then we can rise above, then we can even see the humor. Only then can we see the humor in it. We can laugh about it, right? But non-attachment is the goal, because we don't know, because I know people, I think you were alluding to this, how people in the truth movement are frustrated. Some of them are the people are not fully in. They're going, well, why didn't you said this was going to happen January 6th and this and that, and and they're complaining like, and you guys, QAnon is it's a psyop, it's all this, right? Like, come on, you're first of all, drop that linear time bullshit, right? We can give some indications about when this might happen, but it's a maybe. We don't know. If we're talking about the future, we're talking about the future. The future hasn't happened yet.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So for me, prophecy too. I don't like to get hung up on. I have a page, Prophecy 2021 now. It used to be Prophecy 2020. I love prophecy, but people get hung up on that too. If the prophecy doesn't happen when it was, predicted to happen, then the prophet is bullshit. It's a false prophet. Well, not necessarily, right?
Yep. It's true. And these people that get hung up on timelines, I mean, I do see, look, I try to be fair and look at people's points of views, because we are at frustrating times. We want to see the justice. People are well intended. We want to see the justice for the children. We want all of that. I get that. But where we are in a movement where the media has lied to us for years, and we have tolerated media deception, then if we've got the likes of you or me or ex-truther that have become slightly big names. I don't like, again, saying the label side of big, small. I don't look at it like that. We're all the same. And there's nothing to become a celebrity in this movement. That's definitely not the agenda for anybody. But I feel anyway, this is about the humanity being together in this moment in time, because we are evolving, and we're going into a new yug, into a new era. And our greatest enemy is the devil, right? And the demonic energies that are there. And we, unilaterally, universally, collectively should be raising our vibrations and not fighting amongst each other. But the thing is, these constructs of the cabal get in the way. So unfortunately, people placing an impetus on timelines are suffering a lot, because yes, it is frustrating. We don't know really how this is going to play out, Hari Ram, do we? We don't.
Anytime that we hold an expectation, such and such to happen, then we're setting ourselves up for disappointment, aren't we?
Yeah.
Always. I mean, it's better, even if it does happen, it's better not to have that expectation, right? either way, right? Because when it happens, like, yeah, wow, right? We can celebrate. Wahi Guru.
Isn't that the beauty though? That sort of serendipity, that like managing our expectations not to expect in the timeline, when we feel that, oh my God moment when it happens when we least expect it. Could that be a possible timeline? Is there 3 different narratives going on at the same time? It's the questions we say to ourselves and ask ourselves, and the way we look at things, you know? But again, running with the theme of this conversation, and I like to call it conversation because I don't see myself as an interviewer. I just see you and I as my fellow brother, that has offered so much good energy to the community. Both of you have, and I find it, this is what we need to celebrate each other, celebrate people who are striving to move and make that effort to ascend and raise their frequency in that unity.
Yes, and yeah, I agree completely. It always, essentially, in the end, it's about us. It's about our relationships, our brothers, soul sisters. And you know, along that same line, I'm in a way, I'm more drawn to the mainstream. In a sense, it's funny. Another thing that Trump helped to awaken in me is a love and gratitude for Fox News. It's funny because I think Sasha mentioned Tucker Carlson in the interview. I love, you know, this is, I haven't said this to Sasha. If hopefully we'll do another interview, because one of my dreams is to see Sasha Stone on Tucker Carlson tonight. Can you imagine? I love Tucker Carlson. And, you know, Lauren, and the thing I love about it, you know, people like Lauren having those regulars like Raymond Arroyo, these people they're real, you know, they're not into the hocus pocus. They might not even have looked at Q, I don't know, but they say it so at least, like, QAnon, what's that? I love when Tucker says QAnon. But they work for Fox News, and I wanted to say this because this applies to us too. I know people like Madonna, is how we can stay just like Tucker. We have to try and play the game unless you want to be debarred from. I'm still on Facebook, thank God. You know, because that's been my main channel, right, for sharing, as you mentioned so beautifully, and for your response, sharing that. I don't want to get you know, suspended or canceled. I have had to deal with some restrictions, I'm happy to say, because if you're doing the right job, right, you're going to get some, you know, some
kind of penalty.
Right. People that I really, you know, look up to, you know, like Madonna, you know, all blessings, and, you know, Sasha. I don't know if has Sasha been.
Yeah, I think he's in Facebook jail, but I think he might be out now. Oh, I think they've just suspended him to be able to speak for a few months. I don't even know. He didn't actually even, poor guy, didn't actually do anything. But again, this I think was all to demonstrate at those times, to see the level of censorship and how we are being silenced for having what we thought was democracy and freedom of speech on our planet, and that hasn't been the case. But this is to highlight and show people, so as we continuously are evolving in this movement, the Great Global Awakening for the last, it's actually for 10 years to be fair, but you know, for the purpose of people to understand what's going on more acutely since this scandemic came to the forefront of existence in our lives. But there is so many things that we can draw from this year about how we evolve as human beings and how we interact with our brothers and sisters and how we are to each other. And I think that that's fundamentally the most important thing for me. We claim like you come into this world empty-handed and we go empty-handed. It's what we do within our soul and our energy here, that how we make people feel. And, you know, how do we leave people after a conversation? You know, are we feeling in a high vibration or a lower vibration? And this is the thing that I claim not to be any guru or anything like this, and I think you share a very similar kind of energies. How do we leave people after they speak to us? You know, however, even if it's something that you're saying controversial, yeah, it's like dropping a bomb, but with a little cheeky smile and running away, yeah. And in that sense of like, you know, that sense of cheek, tongue in cheek, and naughtiness, but you're, you know, conveying a very important point. But again, when we go into the entrapment of ego, this is where the suffering happens. My truth is better than your truth. You said this, he said that, petty quabble. So I am aligned to your energy for that. And I say it again in just gratitude, in absolute gratitude. And there's a massive difference between false flattery and a genuine, authentic appreciation for someone's soul. My soul recognizes your soul. So, you know, it's so important for me to have had you like chat to me. I'm so grateful, Hari Ram, because we all have something to offer in this journey, each and every single one of us on this planet.
Likewise, dear sister. And, you know, we are on the verge where it's already dawning that the Satyug you mentioned, call it the age of Aquarius, whatever. I know that that conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter on the last winter solstice was very significant. Some say that was the marker for the Aquarian age. Again, whatever you want to call it, we're in it. It's happening. So from that, again, that broader perspective, the spiritual neutral mind perspective, everything is perfect. Everything is perfectly aligned. There's nothing to fret about. Let's keep laughing. Try to see the light. You know, it's like, you know, I love, one of the reasons I love Laura Ingraham is her sense of humor. Again, and one of her regulars, Raymond Arroyo, he comes on and they laugh together. Every show that they do when he comes on. If you haven't seen Raymond, they have something called Friday Follies, for example, on Friday. They're having a gas because they're making fun now of Sleepy Joe, right? Speaking of going back to Donald Trump, Sleepy Joe. How many times did we hear you asking me, how can I pick one time when Trump? Maybe I can't, because he's always making me laugh. Every time he said Sleepy Joe, I started laughing, you know, and Pocahontas.
But you got to admit, yeah, like Sleepy Joe Biden, he has provided us entertainment as well, because it's not the real one, yeah. And this poor gimp who is playing the role of the real one, I mean, Bechara, you know, Bechara, I mean, poor thing in Hindi, is you know, really bearing the brunt of something he didn't actually do. Imagine being this Biden right now. He's probably thinking, I don't know who I am. I'm just a body double. And I'm bearing the brunt of the real Biden's crap, who I believe is not around anymore.
I know that. Well, I'm a storyteller. And just briefly, you know, along with the Kundalini Yoga and Nad Yoga, Kirtan, those things, one of my other passions, as well as dance, is psychodrama. And I've been developing this practice over many years now, decades. In fact, I saw there's a new film that came out not too long ago, Alejandro Jodorowsky, on his treatment of what he calls psychomagic, which is basically psychodrama, right? If you don't know Jodorowsky, I highly recommend him, you know, a great filmmaker. Anyway, I mention this because the essence of psychodrama is storytelling.
Yeah.
Which is the essence of all shamanic practice, right? Shamanism is the root of all of yoga and healing arts, right? Because it predated these practices. And the very heart of shamanism is storytelling. It's a story. And, you know, and I know, you know, our brother Sasha speaks, and Charlie Stone is why I feel such a, you know, alignment with those two among a few others, is that they speak about the story, right? The narrative and how, you know, it's panning out the larger, the smaller story between, you know, within the bigger picture, trying to get a broader perspective, and how we can shift that. And I love Sasha's efforts, because I know, you know, speaking to us and to you and many others, he's repeating that same, you know, prognosis, that same method, if you will, of coming back to the self, realizing the Christed self, removing those, cutting those cords. You know, we use obsidian. We have obsidian dagger from Chiapas. Is gold obsidian.
Wow.
Very good at cutting cords, right?
Yep.
Cutting those cords, the cabal just go.
Absolutely. I love that.
We're free, right?
No, I love that. Actually, can you just briefly, before we go, just anything else that you want to add to that you feel that you'd like to share with the audience, our audience? Nothing is mine, is ours, our audience. But the shamanic principles you just mentioned, and I love this thing about cord cutting. Yeah, I do that every day. We just cut cords with all these negative energies that try to infiltrate us, like these parasitic cords, because around our auric field, we're all beautiful. We're all beautiful human beings. Our souls are like vying for self-expression, but we're so convoluted in the layers of what the cabal have done. So, you know, sense of self is just so removed, and we have this it's a struggle for people to really be able to see what's going on and not being awake, or whatever word you want to use there, to really truly realize that actually everything is happening in so many different timelines. And the illusionary aspect of things and time is so apparent to me, but because people are suppressed through consumerism, globalism, what we consume, and our pineal gland is completely suppressed. Therefore, we're having this very left brain thinking and not seeing things only from people seeing things only from a 3D lens. So kind of went off on the tangent there, but like, I think you get the gist.
Yeah, well, you know, a couple of things came to mind. So yeah, thank you. Somebody shared with me this short video, and it's like, wow, I was like, what's going on? It's from Africa. I'm not sure which country, but the students in a school are running. It's like my saying at the beginning, right? If they don't express that sense of humor, turn around and run as fast as you can.
Yeah.
These students, they're all running. Some of them are jumping from the second floor of the building, and they're all running away as fast as they can. And you know what? And I saw the image first, and then the caption. They were trying to inject these African children with the vaccine. And they're literally running out of the building en masse, the whole student body, right? Wow, right? This is the stuff that I look for, and I celebrate and I share, right? Because I want people to see, yes, there are things, little things, big. But, you know, you mentioned linear time too, so that brings me back to the psychodrama. The essence of psychodrama is realizing that, of course, with the Kundalini Yoga as a foundation, one can easily see and know that linear time as such is an illusion. And this is why, again, why I say to people, you drop this expectation timeline nonsense, right? You're just setting yourself up for stress, anxiety. Why is it not, you know, you said Trump was going to be, you know, put in the 19th president, right? Linear time is an illusion.
Yeah.
Again, rise above that and know that everything is in perfect alignment. And, you know, and as we just, again, realize, step into our Christed light, if you will, our Buddha nature, then we are doing our part, even if it just means sitting in your home, just meditating quietly. You know, we each have a role to play.
We do. We do. And I am on a parting note now, because I'm aware we've gone on for an hour, and I usually get people's attention for about an hour. And then I think that people switch off after a while. So I think an hour is always nice to have a conversation. And it's been an absolute pleasure, because it's stuff like this that I really, really enjoy. But where can we find you? So we've got YouTube, you're on the School of NAD, and you have your own page on Facebook. And with all your information. And if on a parting note, is there anything that you want to say?
Well, let's do a part 2 then, because I also, one of the things that we have, and we want to, with your permission, of course, like to put this on we have a radio internet program as well called We Got the Nod. It's NAAD. It's on Podbean and you can find it on, iTunes and Spotify, things like that.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
If you're happy with that, you can also find we split the Sasha interview into 2 parts for that radio. I love radio. I grew up listening to radio, and it's nice too, isn't it? Because if you're looking at this is great. I mean, I love that we can do the video interview as well. But then the eyes have to be engaged, right? With radio, you can go about doing whatever, right? And you can
yeah, no, I hear you. And in voice, there's so much emotion and expression in the tonality of our voice.
Yes.
I'm quite sensitive to that, people's tones. And I used to find it really difficult because being a very sensitive soul, but if somebody spoke in a way that was abrupt, I'd be like, oh. but you learn as you evolve in every way that how to decipher people's tones and interpret their intention. So yes, I'd be happy definitely to do that. I think maybe we'll get one with Madonna as well, you, Madonna, and myself. I think
that would
I actually done one with her today. We spoke about Kundalini, and it's just ironic that in one day that I'm speaking about that. So on a parting note, I think the message of Kundalini Yoga is important in the principles of how we are, spiritually looking after ourselves, our spiritual hygiene, because we can get so caught up in the doldrums of these energies on the digital platforms and getting constant in those wars. And it's just so important to recalibrate and synthesize and just neutralize the charges, any of these negative sort of things that can have on us. So with that said, Hari Ram, I've really, really, really enjoyed this today. Thank you so much. I definitely want to do something regularly with you. And
okay, yeah, well, so the last parting words I'll say is our radio show. Check it out, because Alpa will be featured along with Sasha and others. I'll just briefly say, yes, the Kundalini Yoga community, there's an interesting parallel, which is, of course, Yogi Bhajan and Donald Trump. Yogi Bhajan has been maligned and slandered like, oh my God. And I'm not saying that he lived a perfect life like an angel, but there's a lot of stuff out there. That's another podcast, perhaps. Yeah. Anyway, it's very interesting to see how these stories are playing out.
Well, I'd like to talk about that now, in the next one, about the spiritual leaders and the impact that they're having now, and the awareness about some of the things that they've got up to. This is just generically, all the spiritual leaders now are subject to a lot of scrutiny, because unfortunately with the exposing and exposure of stuff to do with children, and then us finding out about things such as Mother Teresa, and unfortunately everyone has
Dawn of God.
Pardon?
Dawn of God.
Yes.
Yeah, and Oprah Winfrey. Oh God.
So these people are all incriminated, and we have to use our own intuitive compass to see how we feel about that. But there is a reason this information is being exposed. There's a naivety that humanity has had for so long, because let's be kinder to ourselves. It's because we see the good in people. So we can't beat ourselves up about it. We see the goodness in people, and what we see in ourselves is what we see in others. So it's so important to leave people in that uplifted kind of energy, because you know what, today is all we have. Now is all we have. So part 2 awaits us, and I cannot wait. Thank you, Hari Ram, so much. Thank you.